You've been sitting in simple cross legs, cross your legs the other way, and then take your belt, so your legs are already crossed. Take your belt over your head, and it should be in a big wide loop, and then just slip it over your head, and then place the strap behind your sacrum, right in the center of your sacrum, and over your knees. So not at your waist, and not down lower than, about halfway down. If you could imagine, well, you can imagine how broad and lifted your sacrum is. So lift your sacrum up right away. Once you get this on, this is something that I learned from Karen Valentino, actually, and I like it, and a lot of students do. It gives you a sense of stability. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to us about when we started. So just put your hands on your knees for a second. Just on your knees. That does sort of take your shoulders forward a little bit. Notice that. You do that. But then lift your chest up and lift your abdominal muscles and organs up towards your chest. So you're not just lifting your chest. You're lifting from the abdominal organs themselves and lifting way up. When you do that, you should feel some reactivity in your back, some assistance in your back. Your back's like, I'm engaged now. So lift your abdomen up as tall as you can. And then take your hands beside you on the floor. So right on the floor, like little cup shapes. And then use that only for reference to balance yourself. See whether the left and the right feel balanced and whether you're centered in your spine. So between the back and the front and the side to the side, and then lift from your waist to your ribs in the back and lift your abdominal contents up. So bring your hands together in prayer. Close your eyes, relax your face, soften your jaw. So we're lifting, and that is the beauty of yoga, is this action that we can bring into our own bodies, lifting our chest, but we're lifting more than our chest. We're lifting our hearts, we're lifting our attitude, right away. You're in the yoga mentality. Allow the skin on your shoulder blades to just softly brush down, as if they were not going to lift up towards your ears, but relax away from your ears. It isn't that you're doing anything aggressive at all. You're merely separating in your mind the trapezius from the neck skin. So the neck is lifting up, the trapezius is moving down. The trapezius moves down toward the place that it attaches, right about the bottom of the thoracic, right in that area. And it's right in that area in general that we need to lift. If anybody, I think we've been in classes where the teacher put the knee in your back and then took your shoulders in the front and just pulled them back. And so you're lifting your back body up that strongly. Really, it's an amazing adjustment to get, but you can do that for yourself. So take those vertebrae, the thoracic, lower thoracic vertebrae, and lengthen them and lift, and use your front body too to descend your elbows. There's a base here too, the buttocks, the feet, the knees. And so the belt right around what I call the sacral area, the sacral band, so the pelvis, the sacrum, the sides of the torso, right between the waist and the buttocks. So that is the part of the spine that doesn't move. So we've got 33 vertebrae, and 24 of them are movable, but the lower vertebrae are not. The sacral vertebrae are fused, and the tailbone too, mostly fused. So we're not moving that area, but what we want to think instead is we're supporting our spine with the sacral band. So firmly bring your belly button to your spine, lift your chest up away from that, draw your elbows down, prepare for yoga. Bow your head to your heart, Bring your hands down to your thighs. Open your eyes in front of your shins. Bring your head back up. So now take the belt for a second and take it off your knees and straighten your legs and then cross your legs the other way. So this is just one way of using a belt in Sukhasana. This is Sukhasana. And when we do it this way, it draws the femurs into the hip socket quite nicely. You don't want to feel constrained by it though. It can't be too loose, but if it's so tight that it makes you feel bound, well, that might be terrible. So take your hands and roll them to the side. So take your thumbs back and take your arms away from you so that you can separate your arms from your torso and take your inner armpits up. And that's the same thing as saying lift your abdomen up, because don't you feel that? When you turn your thumbs back and lift your armpits up, you are engaging your abdomen as well. That's all just great. So now just start bringing your arms up. And it might not go all the way up. You might say to yourself, this is best for me. But if you can lift up, but let your trapezius relax down and let your neck stay long, then you're in good shape. So keep going, but at any point where you think, well, my neck just did something funny, stop and reevaluate. Draw your hands toward each other more. Draw your hands up. Draw your hands up. So your hands are going up. And then you should feel the abdominal contents lifting up because your hands are helping, and lift up through the arms. And so this is really nice and lifted. This is nice too though, so don't get your neck unhappy. And now turn your thumbs forward and bring your arms down. And then now you can take the belt off. But we're going to use it in a few minutes. So for right now, cross your legs the first way. So when you do that, you have to readjust your buttocks probably. And what we want to draw the buttock skin back, and we want to contact the sit bones. And then we want to come right up over the sit bones. I feel like the spine is just as lifted as it can possibly be. And put your left hand on your right knee. And once you do that, you're already initiating a turn. But keep your left buttock down. And so, your right buttock, your left buttock down. I'm mirroring you. So your hand is on the knee, the other hand is behind you, or maybe even on a block. One thing that I think is elbows can be slightly bent here, even the back elbow. So slightly bend both elbows. It's almost like a little attitude, and then broaden across the low back, right where we were talking, and that mid back, right where we were talking about it. Where the mid back is the lower thoracic, sort of, maybe mid to lower thoracic. And you're turning now toward the right, but you're centered in your spine. You're centered in your spine. You can turn, I'm looking forward because I'm trying to decide for myself if my neck wants to turn. You should turn your neck only if it's ready. And the neck, of course, stays in line with the torso. So you're not trying, in some twists we do turn our head further, but in this one, no. So lift up through the whole center of yourself, turn toward the right, and then just be where you feel like you're twisted far enough, and then lift up tall. And then see if there's like a tiny, tiny bit more, but not to lift the left buttock, not to lean any direction, and then come back to center. And so when you come back to center, you still should feel quite tall. And then take your right hand to your left knee, your left hand behind you, and lift up really tall again. The tall lift of the spine here is the best thing you can do for your twist. And the worst thing you can do is collapse and then don't even bother. But put your right hand on your left knee, lift up really tall, start turning toward the left, keep your right buttock down. Of course we're keeping our right buttock down, but just to say that indicates that the right side body still has the length that it did have. You don't want to shorten either side of your torso as you're turning. That would be, it would be so nice if everything just stayed completely the same except for the twist. And the twist is just beautiful if you feel tall and lifted, and then come back to center. And now straighten your legs out and go the second way, right? And then put your right hand on the floor. So we're just going to put our right hand on the floor, but we're going to lift our right side body. So I can put my hand on the floor and the side body can sort of shorten, but it could also lengthen. So think more about lengthening it from the hip all the way through up to the ribs, and then through the armpit, down the inner arm, into the heel of the hand. Your other hand could go on your waist, and the elbow could be quite pronounced, or you could take your arm up. So this is your choice. This is always an option. So we're going to really lift up through the left hand now. But when you do that, don't lift your left hand. Don't lift your right hand up. Keep your right hand down. Lift your left hand up. Keep both sides of the torso long and extend over to the right with your left hand, but not so much to be aggressive as to feel the length. Just feel the length and the skin. And then come up, but don't lose that length of your spine, and take your left hand down, and now your right hand either onto your waist, because this is good too, or up if that's okay for you, and then lengthen, because you can probably get more length, but there's also length on the left side. So create the length on the left side, create the length on the right side, and take your arm over a little bit just to increase the sensation on the right side body, and then undo. And now lie down on your back, but have your belt. So we're going to just start. We're not going to use the belt right away. And Diane, you don't have to worry about not having a belt. We'll have some, I'll give you some ideas of how to deal with that. So we're going to lie on our back, and we're going to squeeze our knees in. So just, once you come onto your back, I mean, I know we were sleeping previously. I hope you were sleeping last night. And because you were sleeping, you know, you already were reclining. But there's something different about yoga and feeling your back. So feel your back when you lie down. Just feel your back. So your knees are squeezed in, but now put them onto the floor and put your hands beside you. And then take your shoulder blades up and away from your neck and down onto the floor again. Of course, you won't get the entire shoulder blades on the floor, but you want to get a little closer to the top. Now, belly button is pressing down. That's not to say that your back is going to flatten with your feet on the floor. It probably won't. But now bring your knees into your chest. Now your back flattens. So bring your knees toward your chest. Either hold behind your knees or over the top of your knees, and just bring your knees, your thighs as close to your chest as you can. Just bring your thighs right onto your chest. Just bring them right onto your chest, if you can. And then put your left foot on the floor and reach for the outside of your right foot. So your arm is going to come through the inner knee on the right side. We know this one. The thigh goes to the outside of the torso, but not so quick that your left buttock lifts up, because your left buttock is anxious to go along. But we want to keep the left buttock down. Now, have your foot flexed on the right foot, and you're just going to draw your thigh down to the floor. So just draw your thigh down to the floor. And there will be a place where you're going to have to stop, and you're going to know where it is. But for some people, it's the groin. Don't go into the groin. We don't want to do that. Often what we say is soften the groins. So we don't really want to make them hard. But so use something else to bring your thigh down. And if anything bothers you, kind of stop. Don't go too far. Now take the left foot and stretch it out in space. So stretch your left foot away from your hip, a couple inches from the floor. So stretching, stretching, stretching through the left leg, pressing through the right leg and centering the spine and holding the belly button down. Do you notice that your belly button is moving to the right? Move it back over to the left if you can. And then bend your left knee, put your foot on the floor, put your right foot down. So that is, that's intense work on the quadriceps. I think we'd all agree. Now we're going to lift our left foot up and reach to the outside of the left foot with our hand. So then our arm will come through the inner knee. And then draw the thigh down toward the floor, but right away, readjust your right buttock. Don't let that go with you. And just draw the right knee as far, it's not the knee, it's the whole thigh. So draw the whole thigh down toward the floor. Be careful of your groins, be careful of anything that's bothering you, because we're not asking you to suffer, well, a little bit. We're only asking you to be aware and to take care of yourself. Stretch your right foot out in space away from your hip and really press with the sole of the foot. And just notice how centered you are, or how you need to recenter. And try to draw your belly button back to the right, because it would love to go with the left knee and thigh. Just draw that thigh down. Now, go to the first side. Put your left foot down on the floor to start with. Right leg, right thigh, right knee coming down to the floor beside your torso. And left leg stretches out. Now, just this time onto the floor. So just keep the left heel on the floor and draw the right knee down. So I'm doing it a second time, and we're doing it a second time, to see, is there more here, or did I, squeeze every little bit out of that tournament? Don't you agree? This is really not easy to make huge movements, but it's a lot of awareness. It's a lot of awareness. Now, undo, put the right foot down on the floor, knee bent, grab to the outside of the left foot, hold the left thigh down, try to move the whole left thigh down outside of your torso, stretch the right leg straight, just so that the heel is on the floor. And then but you're pressing anyway, you're pressing. So you're trying to press with your right foot and with your left thigh. And of course, you're holding your left hand on your foot and really holding it and pressing it down. So stretch and then undo. Now squeeze both knees in. All right, let's roll to the right side for 1 second to get our belt and to have a tiny little discussion here. So the discussion concerns your knees. And I want to make sure that your knees, that you don't do anything to make your knees unhappy. One of the main yamas is nonviolence. And we don't want to do violence against our own knees or against anything. But sometimes, we're not as nice to ourselves. So be really nice to your knees, and you'll know what I'm talking about in a minute. Now make a loop in your belt that's kind of smaller. And we're not going to use it quite yet, but just have it to your right hip and lie down again. So lie down on the floor again and kind of center yourself. Anytime you make any movement in yoga, like sitting back down or lying back down or standing up, center yourself. Use that moment to just center yourself. So center your spine, draw your shoulder blades down your back body best you can. Just breathe, just breathe. Now, cross your right ankle over your left knee. So we're already now going to talk about the right knee, but what I want you to do is pin the left hip in. Don't let you'll notice the minute you cross the ankle over the knee, your left hip compensated to the left. And that's not helping you at all. So draw the left hip back in and kind of contract it, pin it. And then take your right knee and press it away from you. So the left foot is still on the floor. Both hips are pinning in, and we're trying to rotate the right thigh externally. That's really what we're doing here. The left thigh is not rotating externally. The left thigh is just straight, but the right thigh is rolling externally. Now pick the left knee up and try to draw the shin toward you. Keep the left hip pinned. That's my best advice to you. Because if you let the left hip go, you think, oh good, I can do more, but really you're not helping your lower back. So we want both sides of the sacrum down, and we want both hips pinning in, and then draw your shin toward you. And you know, the more you do this in your life, the better it will get. But if it's not going so well, back off. You know, if it's going well, do more, and then undo. That would be my advice. Now the left ankle over the right knee, and rotate the left thigh and pin the right hip in. Noticing how immediately your right thigh wanted to help you, or your right hip wanted to go to the side a little bit. Pin both hips in, pin both hips in, and rotate that left thigh. And then draw the right knee forward. So right shin forward. Picking the right foot up, bringing the shin in. You can hold on behind your leg, whatever works for you. You'll notice right away which side is more willing to do this or more happy doing this. Now undo and go back to, so you don't even have to put your feet back on the floor now. You can keep your knees up toward your chest, if that's okay for your knees. And you now press your left ankle over your right knee. But you know, what if your foot is on the floor, your left foot is on the floor? If that's better for you, please do it. It's not gonna be any problem for you to take care of yourself, much better. But if you can draw your left knee toward your chest, hold the right knee back and breathe. So whatever you're doing now, now put your left foot back on the floor. And now straighten your left leg out, and now take the right knee along with you. But notice how you came onto your right buttock, and try to come back onto your left buttock. Two, not just one, but both. And then just breathe and see if you could lift your left foot off the floor. And then undo. Boy, that takes a lot in the quadricep, doesn't it? Now bring your left knee up, so you're bending your left knee, and bring your right shin toward you, any amount. Maybe it's not very far in your estimation, but do your best to make this level, and then lift your left leg up. So your left leg now is going up, or maybe out. You know, it might not be up, because these are your hamstrings we're talking about, and your hips. So you have to take care of yourself. But if you can now, draw the foot up, draw the shin towards you, and now hold on to the outside of your right thigh and draw the left leg down to the floor, and take the right knee with you, because you were rotating the thigh enough to bring the knee with you. And now uncross. Now cross your left ankle over your right knee and stretch your right leg out onto the floor. So when you do that, you notice right away that it's only the rotation in the left thigh that allows your knee to levelize with the ankle. You know, otherwise it won't do it. Just for a second, try to lift your right foot up a little bit. Whoa, really goes into the quadricep. I mean, which is maybe a good thing. I don't want it to go into your lower back though. Bend your right knee, draw your right knee towards you, draw your shin towards you, trying to levelize it, knee to ankle, lift your right leg up. And again, I understand if your hamstrings are not as flexible, you won't be able to get your foot up as high. And it will be harder for you, I'm so sorry. But you know, over time, your hamstrings will improve. There's no doubt about that. So you're stretching your leg up, you're trying to get your whole shin on the left side parallel best you can. And then we're going to hold on to the left outer thigh, and we're going to take the right leg down, and we're going to take the left knee with it, because you'll see that's where that action comes from, is right at the top of the leg. All right, undo that. Now we're going to grab our belt. So now, so you might want to just look at me for 1 teeny second so that you can see, you know this already, but just in case you don't remember this. So we're going to take our belt and we're going to put it around our left foot rather, and we're going to take our left foot up. And then you're going to see that I've got room to move my leg back and forth, and I'm going to need to do that because I'm going to bring my right ankle over my left knee into a figure 4. And then I'm going to draw my foot up. So now I'm using the belt to help me a little more, but honestly, we're going toward Padmasana. So you are either going to try to do Padmasana or you're going to stay in figure 4. We can all do a figure 4 of some kind, right? It's when you start taking your foot, and we're not going to do this immediately, but we will then start taking our foot that's over the thigh down toward the hip. And do you see when I do that, I move my foot down so I can actually get my foot right in the top of my thigh, and then I'm going to draw my foot back up. Okay? But this is the reason we're using the belt is for safety, because you'll get a lot of feedback and you'll know. So lie on your back now, put the belt on your left foot, lift your left foot up, but then you're going to have to extend your left foot away from you a bit to get the right ankle over the left knee. So it's just right ankle over the left knee. And then take your right hand to your right knee and just press it away from you. So just gently pressing it away. You're not, hold the left hip in. Notice again the tendency to compensate. And like compensation sounds nice, but it doesn't have a good effect on the overall body. So take your right thigh, rotating it. Bring your left foot up as high as you can. And just, you'll feel quite a bit of sensation in your IT band, in the top of your thigh, probably where the ankle and the knee are meeting, but I don't want you to feel that in your right knee. That would not be good. That's the yama of nonviolence. You don't want to do violence to yourself. So the best thing to do, if your knee bothers you, is take your foot down and reassess what you need to do. Now, just slip your right foot into that belt, so we're not going to come up and down, and just take your left ankle over your right knee and your left hand to your left knee and press it away. So now, if this is the more flexible side for you, you're so happy. And if it's not your flexible side, then you're having to be more thoughtful about where you should work. Obviously, right at the top of the thigh. Roll the top of the thigh out on the left side. Bring the right leg up closer if you can, but that's only if you can, and draw your left knee away from you. This is all very good work as long as you're being honest. Honesty, oh, that's another yama. As long as you're being honest about how you feel. And then slip your left foot into the belt. Now we're going to try for half Padmasana, but then only if you can do it. So you take your left foot away from you a little bit, you draw your outer right foot, you hold the outer right foot, and you draw the foot close to your hip, right at the top of the thigh, only if you can. And then start drawing your left foot up and pushing your right knee away. This is a really good way to work on Padmasana, but you can't let your knee go into any pain. So you just have to be really thoughtful about that. Breathe. So just see where you can go. You only could get your left leg straight up and down, believe me. You wouldn't take it any further toward your face, for right now anyway. So just keep drawing your left foot up and your right thigh, rotating it right at the top of the hip and taking care with your knee. Now, undo and take your right foot into the belt. And now we'll try for the left leg into Padmasana, if that's available to you. But you know, the figure 4 is your option. and don't be shy to use it. If you can take your left foot to the top of your right thigh, right near the hip, that's fine. But right to the leg crease, and then bring the right foot up and push the left foot away, left knee away. So I haven't said this yet because this is our first half Padmasana, but you do want to stretch through your heel on the Padmasana leg. So you're really stretching it, pushing into the heel for the safety of your knee. And now take your left foot into the belt and get your right foot into Padmasana or into figure 4. And figure 4 with your foot on the leg on the ground if that's what's necessary. Because all roads lead to the same place, which is bliss, I hope. You don't feel the bliss in Padmasana yet, maybe. The right foot to the top of the left thigh, or wherever it's going for you, left leg up, right knee pressing away, hold both hips in. You know, it's just not one instruction, is it? It's so many. Why? Because this is an all body, the entire body is involved in yoga. Everything's involved in yoga. Breathe. Now, take your right foot into the belt, take your left foot into Padmasana, only if it's available to you. Always taking care. And then taking your right foot up or out, wherever it is for you, and just trying to do your work in Padmasana. I call it work because there are times I can do full Padmasana and there are times I can't. So it isn't like it's a slam dunk here. Now, undo. Now we're going to take our, we're going to do it one more time. We're going to take our right leg into Padmasana. If you can, you're going to take your left foot into Padmasana too. But that's only if you can. So I'm not going to do that right now. I can do it, but I'm going to keep my leg up. But if you can do full Padmasana, then you're going to do that. And you're just going to enjoy whatever you can do. And your hips, you know, hip work is important. We need it. So breathe. If you're in full Padmasana, enjoy. If you're in half Padmasana, enjoy. If you're just trying to get your knee and your thigh rotated, enjoy. And now take your right foot up, put it in the belt. Take your left foot across the top of your right thigh and push through the heel. Push through the heel on the Padmasana leg and take your right leg up. If you can take your foot into full Padmasana, you're going to do that, but not if you can't. And so I'm not even giving you instructions about that, because if you know how to do it, you just automatically do it. If you don't do it and you don't think you should do it, don't do it. Both heels very strong. And then undo. Take the belt off. Just straighten your legs out for a minute. Just straighten your legs out for a minute. Feel your knees. You will feel your knees. I mean, we did a lot of work with our knees. You just want to make sure that they're okay. And then you're going to roll over to the side. And now have you might want 2 blocks. You might want a bolster or something for your head. Child's pose is what we're going to do. So you're going to take your knees wide. Now, you could always take a blanket behind your knees to really help. So we don't want to over-compress our knees if that's not right for you. And I want my hands to blocks. That's just me. You might not want that at all. But for some of us with tighter shoulders or with problem shoulders issues, you know, having your hands up is easier. So put your hands on the floor or on the blocks and put your head on the floor or on a blanket and lengthen back through your side body. So the side body, just feel length there. And it's probably from the hips, probably from the ribs to the hips, you feel a lot of length on your lower back. And from the ribs to your armpits and your hands, you might feel a lot of length forward, because it's both, isn't it? It's both. Good. Nice. Yeah, this is to now. Now, what I want you to do, or what I'm thinking you should do, is you should now try to broaden across your mid-back. But use your exhalation to do that. So every time you breathe, you inhale in, and then you're going to exhale and take your mid-back and broaden it. So there's a little routine. The inhale and then the exhale, broadening the mid-back, and then just doing as best you can. Okay, very nice. Now here's the next thing that we're going to do, but it is certainly up to you whether you're going to do this, because we're going to work on what we call preparation for pigeon pose, for Ekapada Rajakapotasana, which we're not going to do, but let me just show you what the preparation is. And the preparation is going to have a possible chair, blocks, and the floor. We're going to do 3 cycles of it. So for me, I would like to start with a chair. But that's, if you have one. But Diane, that's what I was thinking. If you have a ledge or something, you might want to use it. I don't know. But here's the way to do it. So first of all, we're going to take a bolster or a blanket. So I'm going to, and this depends on what you would need under your legs, at the top of your legs. So I'm going to fold this in half, and this is going to be for my pelvis, okay? But I'm going to start by sitting facing forward. So I'm just going to show you this is not the way we always do it, so I'm showing you. So I'm sitting simple cross legs sitting on this lift. And then, see, this left leg is going to go back behind me, and the right leg is going to bend. And I'm going to try to get my left pelvis and my right buttock on this lift. Okay? Because I want it to be level. I don't want one thing lifted up and the other not. So both sides of the hips and pelvis are level. So you might need more than one blanket. And see, the reason I have a chair here is, I'm going to put my elbows on it. And I'm going to lift up. So just try. But I wanted to say, because sometimes this is just too much on the hips or on the knees. So if that's the case, instead of that, you're going to be bending one knee and the other one down, and you're just going to lunge. Okay? So this is the option, because I don't want you to feel like if you can't do the other, you just have nothing to do. That's not ever true. You're going to lunge, and you're going to kind of go back and forth. But if you can do the other, then the right leg is forward, the left leg is back, and you're stretching your back leg, and your right buttock is on the lift, the support, and the left thigh pelvis, okay? So it's a big stretch. Yes, there we go. That looks good, Jackie. Okay, Pam, you got it. Helen, that looks good. So, okay, so Danielle, good. I see why you're doing that. That's really good. And yeah, Mary, you're getting in. I know you can do it. Mary Wilson, that is. Paula and Ed, that looks good. So we're trying to lift our chest up. That's what, yeah, that looks good, June. That's the way. That's the way. Kelly, that's good. Gina, that looks great. So Denise, that looks good. Is that comfortable? Is that okay? Comfortable is not quite the right word, is it? Comfortable. Are you happy? But this is a beautiful, beautiful pose. And not that we're going to do the whole pose. You don't always have to do the whole pose to get a lot of benefit. So we're just in the first part of it. And we're trying to center our spine. So just try to lengthen your left leg and try to center your spine. So you're moving your spine in toward your front body, but it's also centered side to side. And now what we're going to do to come out of this, you think, how am I going to get out of this? You roll onto your right buttock. You bring your left leg around and you come to simple cross legs again. So this is just one way of coming in and out of this. This is not the way we usually do it, but I think it works pretty well. So I've got my support here. Now I'm going to take my right leg and I'm going to straighten it, and my left knee is going to be bent into the Ekapada Rajakapotasana pigeon prep. And then I'm going to try to, it takes a minute, doesn't it? You kind of have to get there and say, okay, one thing that needs to happen in for most of us is it's the right leg, isn't it? The left leg is doing what it's supposed to be doing. We already did that external rotation in the top of the 5 for all those other things we did. This helped, but it's the right leg doesn't roll externally. It lengthens the inner leg all the way to the inner foot. So it's almost like you're taking, it isn't almost like, you are taking the outer right hip down, the outer right thigh down. So it's more of an internal rotation with your back leg and an external rotation with your front leg. Center your spine and lift up. Center your spine and lift up. So you're just trying to use the support to help you. But you also have to settle yourself into your pelvis and into your left buttock. Now, you're going to just undo this by rolling to the left buttock and bringing your right foot around, back to simple cross legs. So did we survive? Yeah, good. Surviving is important. Now we're going to do it again. But this time, and so I don't know, I might stay with the chair. I always try to do what I think is best for me, and you need to do the same, but maybe I'd like blocks. So we'll see. Let's start by remember, we're going to take our left leg behind us. And the support is under our right buttock and our left pelvis. And well, it's really our left thigh, isn't it? My pelvis isn't really down on the support. I should say it's the thigh. And now I'm lifting up on my chair, and I'm just going to, it's feeling better now. It's feeling more familiar. That's a better word. And then I'm going to see if for me the blocks would be okay. You could see. Why would blocks be better? Well, blocks would be better because you could bring them beside your thigh and your hip more, and you could press down and lift up even taller. But then you have to take that left thigh and roll it inwardly, right? The left thigh has to roll inwardly. The right thigh is rolling outwardly, externally. And then bend your elbows. If you're using a chair, that's so nice too. Use the chair to help lift your spine. If you're using the blocks, then use the blocks to press down, bend your elbows, lift your torso up. So it's that whole side body's going up. And breathe. And breathe. Shoulder skin goes down. Shoulder skin goes down. Chest goes up. Abdominal contents go up. And then I'm going to move my support away, and I'm going to bring my left leg back around. Even doing this, probably not a bad thing to try. So now I'm sitting in simple cross legs, and now I'm going to take my right leg back. I have to make a few adjustments. I'm sure you do too. So now I'm going to see whether the blocks are good on this side. Because both sides are different, aren't they? One side is just like, are you kidding? And And then the other side is like la-di-da. Well, no, neither of mine are la-di-da. Both of mine are, oh baby. But I'm trying to center my spine. I'm trying to draw my elbows down. This is working. I also feel like the more I lift my inner abdominal contents up, the better. So it's a funny instruction to lift your abdominal contents up, but it's very stabilizing to the back. So you're drawing your side body as long as you can and breathing. And now, move the support away, bring your back leg forward again. Are we still okay? Then we have one more. And so one more is either same as before or back to the higher. You know, you might go, oh, I think I'll go back to that higher place. But there's another place we could go. Take your left leg back. Your right knee is bent. This is only if it's available to you to put your hands on the floor and lengthen your back leg. So the back leg is so long and the front thigh is so externally rotated. And then if it's possible, you can bring your forearms down. That, believe me, if that doesn't work for you, don't freak out, because you know, this is maybe your first time you've ever tried anything like this. Or maybe you've tried it and you've realized this is a little more than, because what happens is your, the hip, the front hip, the right hip is speaking to you quite loudly, and the IT band probably. I mean, unless you have just very quiet IT bands, but most of us have loud ones and they speak. So you're trying to center your spine. That's what I would say. Draw your right buttock down and your left upper thigh down. Try to equalize that. And from the lowest part of your abdomen, lift your chest up. So it's a very, very complicated but beautiful pose. And then wherever you were, if you were up on the chair, wherever you were, now we're going to lean to our right buttock and we're going to bring our left leg around. And then we're going to go back to the other side. So now the right leg goes back. The left knee is bent. And again, if you need the high support, that's just fine. If you need the blocks, if you can come down to the floor with your forearms, you can try that. I mean, we could go a lot further than this too, but this will be it now. So stretch your right leg as much as you can. Feel like the right leg is just very long and rotated internally, right? The outer right thigh rolling down, inner right thigh, then naturally going up a little bit. Outer left hip is rotating externally. Breathe and breathe. And then roll over to the left side and bring your right shin in front of your left shin. And just sit up really tall for a minute. Just sit up really tall. And then come to your hands and knees. So come to your hands and knees. Dog pose. So just at your own level, pace, just stretch your torso. We've done so much with the hips now that you will feel a lot different in dog pose, I think. But bend your knees and lengthen to your outer hips with your whole torso. So, and also the center of your spine is moving toward the tailbone. So the tailbone lengthens too. In Iyengar yoga, the tailbone tucks inwardly. We don't let it flare. And then lift your hips higher, maybe straighten your legs a little bit, heels way up, keep your heels way up, breathe, lengthen, and then come down. So that was just the first dog pose. So that's never kind of the most familiar feeling one, you kind of get there. So let's try it again. So dog pose, and also there's a chair. So if for any reason, if maybe the weight in your hands is too much for you or your shoulders, so another option is always chair dog. So one way or the other, come up into your dog pose, either using a chair, you could use blocks, or using just the regular dog pose. We all know this pose so well. So get into your own pose and do what you need to do to make this pose really beautiful. Centering your spine, lifting your shoulders up towards your hips, letting your neck, so the neck. Your neck could be between, your ears could be between your upper arms. That is kind of the default action for dog pose, is to keep the ears and the upper arms in line. Because for some people, to let their head really relax is more than is good for their neck. So you make the decision. Bring your awareness to your armpits. So just think of your armpits now, and try to lengthen your inner armpits by pressing your inner ball of your hand down, the inner index finger mound down, and lengthen up through the armpits as long as you can. So feel like the armpits actually got longer toward from the elbow side. They started lifting away from the elbows, and they started lifting up into the collarbones, and let your head relax between your upper arms, if that works for you, and pull your thighs back. So now you might be getting more toward a straight leg pose, but you have to take care of your hamstrings. Do what you need to do, breathe, and come down. Now, child's pose, either with the blocks and a blanket, or just without any support. But the whole idea here is to lengthen toward your head side and lengthen toward your hip side. So both sides, both ends of your body are getting a nice long extension. And never worry about where your hips are. Ideally, at some point they come to your heels, but that doesn't always happen for a while. And you might need help with that by putting a blanket underneath your knees, maybe, or on top of your shins, whatever you would need to do. Broaden across your mid-back. So inhale and feel the inhalation, and then exhale and broaden your mid-back. So just broaden your mid-back. Good. Nice. Now, let's come back to downward facing dog. Or use the chair. Please use the chair if you need. But we're going to do downward. So this is just a fun one. I mean, it's not, some dog poses are so darn serious, but this is fun. Okay, so come to your dog pose. Whatever it is, bent knees, hands on the chair, whatever it is. And lift your hips way, way, way up. So now try to, from the little finger side of the hand, because we talked about the inner arm going up into the armpit. Now think about the little finger side of the hand going up to the hip. So you're just lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. And then if you can draw your heels away from you, back toward the floor, that's fine. Sometimes if you can bring your feet onto the floor, that's great. You're doing what you can do. But now, we're going to take our right knee and we're going to bring it up into our chest. So we're going to have to come forward a little bit. And then we're going to come back into our dog pose and extend that right leg. Just extend that right leg. Don't forget the left hip. Don't let that go too far to the side. And bring the right leg down. One thing you might think is how long the torso should be. It's when you bend your left knee now, notice how the torso rounds a little bit. So bring your left knee forward. Of course, you do round a little bit. But then, as you extend your left leg, it's more of that back bend, isn't it? This has a little bit of a back bend in it. Yeah, the mid-back should be kind of moving in toward the front body. Bring the left leg down. Bend your knees, come down. Breathe. Breathe. Was that okay? Were you okay? One more? All right. I like lifting the leg up, but I especially like the action of moving the knee in and then the leg up, because when you do that, it's more of a flow. So we're going to try it again. If you're not so inclined, put your hands on a chair or a couch or a counter and just step your feet back and don't stress. In fact, you don't know it today, but I'm doing a lot of stress relieving poses. We just haven't gotten to them yet, but we're going to. Okay, so come into dog pose is not a stress relieving pose. It's not on the list. Come up into your dog pose. Lift your hips up, take your thighs back, be in your most beautiful dog pose. Lifting through the inner arms, lengthening through the outer arms, through the torso, through the spine. Breathe. Bring your right knee towards you, so now you're rolling your back a little bit. And now stretch your right leg straight back and up. And now your back is much more lengthened and slightly back bended. And then bring your right leg down. Breathe. Bring your left knee towards you. Take your left leg up. Straight, straight, straight. Bring your left knee back in and back down with the foot, and then come down. Child's pose. So, okay, child's pose is one of the most stress relieving poses. And how do I know this? It was on a list. And due to the list, I started practicing it a lot. And child's pose is very, very, very nice. So in child's pose, to make it even more stress relieving, take the awareness into your mid-back and broaden. So a lot of our poses are lengthening poses, but as we get a little more advanced in our practice, we start to broaden as well. So just broaden across your mid-back towards your side ribs. And then come up and take your, so you might stand in wide legs. Hands on your hip, and you start to assess. I always say it kind of depends on you, what's comfortable for you, because we're not, we're not in a class where somebody's going to come and be mean to you about the width of your legs. But do press, put all the weight you can into your right foot now, and take your inner right leg toward the outer right leg, and lengthen the outer right leg down toward the heel, and then keep all that and press as much weight into the left leg. So you should feel like both legs are so strong. And it can take a minute, because one leg is generally not the same as the other one, but you want both of them to feel like they are. Hands on your hips, elbows toward each other, chest up, abdominal contents up, come halfway down, bring your hands down to the floor, underneath your shoulders, lift your chest forward. So this is a slight back bending action. Look down at the floor with your eyes and lengthen, before you do anything else, from the tailbone, which is curving down. Remember, in Iyengar yoga, we don't let it flare up in a show off the sassy way. We keep it controlled, and we use the legs strongly. Start drawing your side body away from the strength of your legs. So it's the side body length here, and then start lifting your chest up. But don't lift your head up too quickly. Too many times we do this from the neck and not from the collarbones. Lift the collarbones away from the pelvis, but also, that does put a curve in your back, which is what we want. And breathe. And now, if it's available to you, put your head down on. And so for most of us anymore, as we get further along in years, or maybe as we just are beginning yoga, it sort of depends, we might want to put our head on something. So you put your head down on something, and then your hands come back so that the hands are right under the elbows. We know this. We know this is Prasarita Padottanasana 2, where you put your head down. That looks pretty good. And head on something usually. You know, if you can put your head right on the floor, you know, I could at one time and I can't anymore. So you just adjust and you do your best. But here you do want to lift your shoulder blades away from your neck. It's not a big action, but you want to feel like your back body is lengthening, and so is your neck. So you actually do have a weight on the floor with your head, but then you lift the weight so it's not too much off your neck by pulling your shoulders up, and breathe. Broaden across your mid-back. Now we're going to go the other direction. So this is a little like cat-cow if you think about it. This is the cat. Now let's go for the cow. Lift your chest forward. Chest comes forward into more of a back bending action. And then you can either bring your feet in or you can bring your hands onto your hips and stand up. Bring your feet in even more. Stand in Tadasana. Tadasana. So Tadasana, hey, that pose, Prasarada Padottanasana, it is definitely a stress relieving pose. And Iyengar knew that because, well, of course Iyengar knew that. He wrote the book. But what he said after 9/11 was we should be doing Prasarada Padottanasana because of the stress relieving aspects of it and the cooling aspects of it. So be now in your feet and come back into your heels and lift your contents of your abdomen up toward your chest. Broaden your collarbones, shoulder blades down. Then when you do that, if it's too hard, we don't want to make it hard. If we make it hard, the neck starts to say something. Just draw your shoulder blades down softly. Draw your armpits up, your contents of your abdomen up. Good. Nice. Okay. Some sort of, we're going to actually do dolphin pose. And then we're going to do a little inversion. But first we're going to do dolphin pose, which is an inversion. So let me remind you of dolphin pose. If you forget it. So you bring your hands into headstand, and then you lift your buttocks up. But your head never touches the floor. Your shoulder blades lift all the way up, your head relaxes, but it doesn't touch the floor. And then you try best you can to be on the center part of your forearms and elbows and wrists, and then walk your feet in a little bit. And then try to lift your mid-back up. So it's not easy. Soften your face, breathe. And let's come down and talk about this for a second. So this is one of the most stress relieving poses. And once I realized that, I had a lot greater appreciation for it. But it's harder than headstand in so many ways because you don't have the balance of your legs. But watch my back for 1 single second now. Just look at my back because I'm going to show. And so part of this is all about your hamstrings. And so if your hamstrings are really tight, you're just going to have to do your best, you know, because when I come up into my dolphin pose and my feet are where they are, you can see how hard it is for me to lengthen my mid-back. I'm going to try. But it's harder. But as I walk my feet in, for some reason, it's easier to lengthen because now I'm more up and down. But you have to do what you can do. I'm just telling you, we'd like to lengthen that mid-back, but do your best. Because it's stress relieving, remember? Forearms down, shoulders up, head never touches the floor, legs are straight. This is, I do know the challenge of this pose, because it's so much in the upper arms and shoulders and hamstrings, and there's doesn't have that back. Oh, this looks good, you guys. Good, good, good. Oh, that looks good. Walk in a little bit. That really made a difference. Wow. Wow. Now, Paula, I know for your shoulders, you got to be careful. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Oh, beautiful, you guys. Really nice. Head doesn't touch. Remember, head is kind of dangling. Shoulders are up. And then come down. Oh, I know, Kelly, you're like, are you kidding? Was that okay for you, though? Kelly, I just have to ask you. Can you do that at all? Yeah, I'm talking to Riley. I was talking to Riley by mistake. Kelly, there you are. Could you do that, Kelly? Yay. Okay. All right. One more dolphin pose. Because we don't do it for very long, at least I can't. But let's say we would try for 6 breaths. Maybe. Do what you can do. Remember, it's stress relieving. Side body lengthening. From the forearms, you're lifting your shoulders and your armpits up. Your head relaxes. Your face relaxes. Your thighs are pretty active because the hamstrings are. And then whenever you've done 6 breaths or however many you want, just come down. Now, let's for a moment stand up with our belt. And we're going to counteract what we just did. So our belt now is going to be looped about shoulder to shoulder distance. Shoulder to shoulder. And then you're going to take your belt around your elbow and then behind your back. And then you're going to stretch your arms down. So you can come to Tadasana. The idea here is to remember we were working our shoulders and our arms so hard. Now we're reversing that. Shoulder blade skin comes down. Shoulder blade skin comes down. Hands are beside us. But because the belt is behind our back, it is helping our side body lift. You should feel that with your elbows kind of controlled, your side body can lift up to your armpits and your outer legs press down, inner legs up. Breathe. Okay, now either take your legs up the wall as an inversion, or take your, or come into handstand, or half handstand. So this is completely up to you what you're going to do. So legs up the wall, it won't be long, but it certainly could be nice. Or half handstand. If you've got a wall and you don't mind doing half handstand, put your hands down, put your feet on the wall, lift up into half handstand, but also full arm balance if that's available to you. So just a quick inversion. If your legs are up the wall, don't get too excited. It won't be too long. And definitely breathe. So if you're in full arm balance, go up a couple times. If you're in half arm balance, go up a couple times. Just feel that the inversion is important to us. So when we do an inversion, it's good for our heart and our lungs, our intestines, our stomach, our spleen, our kidneys, our liver, everything, your brain. Especially good for your brain to do an inversion. Because what you might feel is kind of centered. Once you get to your spot, you kind of feel centered. And that is really good for your brain. Whatever your choice of inversion, I think they're really worth the price of admission. So when you're done with that though, come down, come down. And then stand back up when you're ready. Stand back up. So now we're going to have blocks. We're not going to really use them, but we're going to have them because we like to have them. And the only reason I've got them is I'm going to put my feet between the blocks. And then I'm going to bend my knees and I'm just going to step my left foot back. But then I'm going to come back up. So, you know, one thing you could do too, and probably should do instead, I always like to have something there for my hands. But put your hands on your hips and just step your left foot back. Just step your left foot back. So we're in Parasvottanasana, hands on our hips, elbows toward us, contents of the abdomen lift up, and then take your, if you can do this, either hold on to your wrists or hold on to your elbows. So either wrists or elbows or hands on the hips, okay? So if you can hold your elbows, that's great. But then center yourself. So look straight ahead, lift the contents of your abdomen up. So now you lift your chest up and breathe, put weight into your back leg. We're gonna only come halfway down. So we're gonna come halfway down. So we lead with our chest, we lead with our chin, we come halfway down, or maybe not, you know, we come to where we can, and then we're gonna come back up. And then we're going to bend our right knee and we're going to bring our left foot forward. Did you feel the effects of that on your brain? Didn't your head speak to you a little bit when you're trying to do something a little bit more challenging? So we're standing in Tadasana, but then we take our right leg back. So we take our right leg back, and how far back is a personal thing again. It's not as big a stance as Trikonasana or anything like that, but do notice that the back leg, which is now your right leg, is rolling inwardly, and the outside of your left hip is pinning in, hands on the elbows, hands on the waist, elbows toward each other. If you can hold on to your wrists or your elbows, do. If you can hold on to your elbows, hold the other way. Whatever's the opposite of what you did before. Now, calm yourself, center yourself, put weight into your back leg, look straight ahead, lift your chest, lift the contents of your abdomen, then halfway down, just a little bit, just halfway down. So you're not going any further than you feel like your front hamstring can tolerate and your balance can maintain, and then you're going to lift back up. And then turn your feet toward the center and walk your feet in. I'm sure you felt that in many ways, but now I want to offer an idea, and it's only for fun, and you know my idea of fun, because this pose that we're going to do, the way I'm going to suggest it, is considered very stress relieving. And actually, this one that we just did, very stress relieving, they say. They say Parasvottanasana with hands behind the back, either elbows clasped or hands in prayer, is very stress relieving. I thought, well, we'll try it. But this next one is purely for fun, and it's considered really stress relieving. But just because I'm a safety person, I got a chair there. I'm hopefully not going to need it. So let's all prepare for this by, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. But first we're going to prepare for what we're going to do by standing in what I call Tadasana Rocket Man. So now, instead of letting your arms relax, you're pressing your hands down and you're lifting your chest up. It's like that movie Rocket Man. So you're taking off, but you're not going to change your torso. your arms, your chest, or anything. Okay? All right, here, watch what we're gonna do. Now, I'm saying watch. What if I can't do it? You know, maybe I can't. That's what I'm saying. So I'm standing in Tadasana, arms in Rocket Man, and I'm really not gonna need the chair. And I'm gonna take my right foot forward and bend that right knee, Rocket Man. Do you see this? My back leg is straight, my front knee is bent. I'm like this, but of course, I'm gonna come onto my right leg, and I'm gonna try to take my left leg up. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But what if you got here and you thought, oh no, just put your hands on a chair or blocks or something. Okay? Let's at least try it. Let's try it. So stand kind of toward the more back part of your sticky mat, arms in Rocket Man. Arms and torso and head and everything like that. And take your right foot forward and bend your right knee. So you're leaning towards you're almost like in a lunge. Your left leg is straight. Now breathe, put your whole right foot on the floor, lift your left leg up straight, stretch your arms back. Rocket Man for a second or two. Come back down. See? It's just for fun, okay? Now we're gonna try the other side. Was that alignment in your hamstring on the standing leg? That's why we bent that knee a little bit, right? Okay, so Rocket Man, torso, left leg forward, bend the left knee, back leg long, lift your chest, arms are really supporting, come forward onto your left leg, lift your right leg up. I'm looking out in front of me at something that hopefully is not going to move. I had to put my hands down, maybe you did too. Come back up. Okay, so now we have a chair or maybe a wall, okay? So have a chair or a wall or a counter or something, and we're gonna put our hands on the chair, and we're gonna bring our feet back into legs together. So it's kind of a tripod. And then ears between the upper arms, and we're gonna lift our right leg back. So that's what we just did, of course, with our hands back behind us. Stretch your right leg. And then bring that leg down. And then stretch your left leg up. So both. And that leg down, and then bend your knees and step forward and come up. So I just wanted to show you this one, and then I think you should practice it. So just because it's easier than you think, it's just that if the first time you heard it, you were like, what? But if you practice it, you'll see it comes easier. All right, now we're gonna lie down on the floor again. We're gonna have a blanket and a bolster. But first we're gonna lie down and squeeze our knees in. So just have the blanket and the bolster, but squeeze your knees in. Now the pose, so then come up for a second. And we've got, now you might not have a bolster, you might not have all these blankets, but one way or the other, we're going to take a bolster or maybe a couple of blankets crossways. And then I've got a blanket, and you could fashion something like this. This is a regular yoga blanket. This is what we call headstand size. And then I'm going to fold it in half the long way so that it's going to be long. And then I'm going to put it over my bolster. So now crosswise bolstered, lengthwise blanket. And now I'm just going to have a couple of blocks or blankets or something for my feet. Okay, so I'm going to show you. This is Viparita Dandasana with support. And in Viparita Dandasana is an extremely profound back bend. It's probably one of the ones that it's a real chest lifter. So when I come into it, I don't want my shoulders on the floor. My head will touch the floor, but not my shoulders. And so then my chest is going to come over toward my chin. I have my arms in Saguaro cactus, but they could be in Shavasana arms. And then I'm just going to take it turns out my calves landed on this well, they didn't land. One collapsed. But you're going to lie down on your lift, and you're going to have something for your feet or your calves or your ankles, because it's just more in line with your hips. That way you can lengthen your lower back a little bit. So if you can get here, your shoulders are not on the floor. It's not like Setu. It's like a back bend. So your shoulders aren't on the floor, but your head is. And then you start bringing your chest up toward your chin. I mean, with your awareness. And I'm looking. Yeah, Celia, I think that looks good. Yeah, good. See, because what I'm trying to make sure of is that your lower back doesn't overly shorten here. Right. But the idea also is to be in a pretty big back bend, which I can see, Jackie, that looks good. Judy, I think this would be really good for you if you can get there you go. Ah, good, 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 good. Okay, breathe, breathe. This is a back bend. This is a back bend. And I want you to feel really lifted through the heart. You can, here's an idea. If your back is a little bit bothering you, bend your knees and put your feet on the floor. That's perfectly fine. That is just perfectly fine. Yeah, either way, either way. And then just breathe, because this is a big back bend. This is a big back bend. Your shoulders are not down, but your head is. And so then your chest, Denise, I think that looks really good. I hope that feels good, because it looks good with your knees bent. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, June, yeah, if you bend your knees, try that, see if you like that. I mean, it isn't that we can't stretch our legs, and we're going to do something for our back in a minute, but let's just be sure we're taking care of ourselves, and that because back bends are all about enjoying, and they're all about uplifting, stress relieving, everything beautiful. You know how that goes. We just want that. And I want you to know how to do Viparita Dandasana. But now we're going to come out of it. So that was, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. That's, that we could stay longer, but we're not going to. But what I want you to do then is roll over to the side and put a blanket down crossways now. So the blanket has been lengthwise. Now I want it to be crosswise. And I'm just going to put my sacrum on it. So we're all going to do this. We did this back bend. That was pretty, even though we're lying down, I've had feedback before about what a big back bend that is. So now we're going to put our sacrum on the blanket and just squeeze our knees into the chest. And then, so it's just about honoring and tending to the lower back. Feeling like, is that okay? Did everything go okay? And then cross your ankles, one ankle over the other, and hold on to the outer feet if you can. So right ankle over left ankle, reach for your outer feet if you can. Not if you can't, but if you can. And then just breathe. And then uncross your ankles, cross them the other way, reach for your outer feet. Good. And now put your feet on the floor and take the blanket away and put your hands on the floor. Feet are close to your hands, and press your upper arms down and your elbows down and come up into Setu Bandha, Sarvangasana. So only if this is without support. So now you're just doing your best to lift your hamstrings up into your femurs and press them toward you. Contract your hamstrings, lengthen your quads, bring your chest towards your chin, bring your shoulder blades up, lengthen your lower back, breathe, and come down. So when we do it in an active way, it's very multifaceted. So feet are down, hands are down, elbows are down, upper arms are down, buttocks come up. So as the buttocks come up, the feet feel even more cemented down. And then you start drawing the hamstrings up. And when you draw the hamstrings up, you start contracting them, or as we say, knitting them. And then you lift your ribs up and your chest up. But your buttocks has to go toward your knees, the back of your knees. Your quadriceps go toward the knees too. Lift your chest up, breathe, and then come down. Shavasana. Shavasana. So just be as comfortable as you can be for Shavasana, which would mean many things, different things to different people. Some of us like to just lie flat in Shavasana with our head on something, or that's always one way to do it. Some of us like our legs up the wall. Some of us like our legs over a bolster. Do whatever you think is just great for your body. And then once you get to your spot, then you let go. Or that's a funny thing to say, isn't it? Because you don't let go, not at first. You lie there for a minute and you start. When I lie down, the first thing I do is my breathing starts to regulate and I can actually feel my heartbeat. Once I can actually feel my heartbeat, I know my breathing has restored to a level that's appropriate for this pose. And then all you need to do now is just relax. So side body is long, legs are relaxed, arms are long and relaxed. So just breathe. The breathing is very, very soft and nourishing. So just allow your inhalation to be just soft, but it will be sufficient. It will be perfectly fine. The inhale comes in cool, and then the exhale comes out soft and warm. So as the inhale comes in through the nostrils, through the throat, into the lungs, you can feel all that. And if the air is cool, and then when it gets into your lungs, then you start to exhale so softly. And when you exhale, the softness of your exhalation is calming to every part of your body, including your central nervous system. So in Shavasana, we are restoring the blood pressure where it should be. The central nervous system is calming and cooling and restoring because we've done so much to excite it. And now we're just relaxing it. Just feel like your spine is centered and soft, even though it's a bony for sure, but you've got the skin on your back body to soften that. So let the back body soften and let the front body sink down and let the exhalation soften everything even more as you start to go deeper. And no, it's a very individual experience when you're in Shavasana. You're really, really by yourself. And you're in your own little world and your body. And you're just paying attention only to yourself. Just allow the whole body to relax. And that includes the inner organs. So the inner organs did yoga too. They twisted and turned and lengthened and bent, and they did all those things. And so now they're just getting their just reward, which is a lot of soft breathing and relaxing. Just let go. Now just bring your awareness back to your inhalation and just gradually lengthen your inhalation a little bit, just a little bit fuller, deeper inhalation. And then allow the exhalation to be soft and longer. Just feel that a little deeper breath again now, a slightly fuller inhale, a little bit longer exhale. And then place your hands on your abdomen and thank your body. And just be here for a second, just thanking your body. And now bend your left knee and roll over to the right side. So here in Sukhasana, one final time, lifting the contents of our abdomen up, lengthening our spine. Namaste. I bow to the goodness within you. Truer words were never spoken. Yoga people are such good people, I think. It's wonderful to know you all. And it's, when I started yoga, I did not realize, I just thought it was a wonderful thing. I did not realize I was going to become such good friends with so many people. When I really look at the people I'm close to, it's yoga people. And the studio especially, so warm and welcoming. And so have a wonderful day.